last video I said stuff defending the game, because I think there's a lot of stuff in retrospect that makes sense. But you know, at the end of the day, this is still my least favorite of the Arkham trilogy, and I got some issues. Some I don't really hear as much, so let's get started. The sheer amount of side quests. Along with the main story, there's like over 10 often very long side missions, as well as 4 big Season of Empathy adventures. That is just an overwhelming amount of stuff to be done in one night. Maybe you can imagine it being done for the span of a few nights. Maybe it could have been done as their own little Arkham episodes, but get the appeal of it being part of a greater world. Anyway, some of the side quests are really repetitive. When having a lot of side quests with a bunch of notable characters, it would be nice if they were enticing enough to compel you to complete them through multiple playthroughs. The way they are done here though, just not so much. An example is the Professor Pig. Now, this could have been a really cool one. So much more detailed than the identity thief from the last game. Lots of medical details. The only thing though is the exact same 3 per victim, 1 per layer. Couldn't you have spiced it up to be like 2 of them are in one of the layers, or maybe it could be pretty identical within 2 or 1 or 4. Kind of loses some of the intrigue if it's more of a plug and chug. Next up, the Joker blood victims. Okay, so Batman says these guys are the result of hospital errors. However, all these guys are oddly specific, high-class people. A professional boxer, a professional singer. Christine's a pretty big businesswoman. Henry Adams runs private schools. All just weirdly high profile. You'd think this would be detailed Batman notes, but he just says hospital errors. It would have been more identifiable to just have more pedestrian people. Exploring the poor and middle class, that could be pretty effed up. Next up, the Jason thing. I only really listed as a pro to say you don't need to overthink the mystery reveal, but you know, there really is a lot of issues with it. Somehow Joker had Jason locked up within a wing of Arkham for 6 months and Batman didn't notice? Or that Batman basically trusted Jason was dead through videotape. Like, I guess there's no Lazarus from here? A lot of his imagery is really grossly exploitative, all for something so stupid. And outside that, I just don't really care for Jason as a character. He's whiny, braggy, weighs so much in tanks. Compared to the collective nature of the Scarecrow, I wish there was more of him. And you know, for a final complaint, the tanks. Just the tanks. Like, I could list a lot more issues, but I think the tanks just say enough. Who on earth, while clamoring for the Batmobile, was also like, yeah, Batmobile, and we also find a lot of tank battles. Keep in mind these are also unarmed tanks that Batman could destroy with no worries. You know how much more expensive to have something like tank be remote controlled? All these villains put their money into these tanks. It really affects the story. And it's so tedious gameplay wise. I'd like to think the tanks were mostly Jason Todd's idea, and Scarecrow was nodding along like, yeah, sure, and would just compound into Batman's guilt that Robin is so buffoonish. Anyway, regardless of the issues, I'd still take it over Origins for, you know, at least having a more fun Gotham. If it wasn't for the tanks, maybe you could at least bump up to Asylum's level, but there are already enough story issues anyway. Wonder what issues Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League would have, but we'll see when that comes out. But as for Arkham Knight, you know, could still powwow in it.